All right, and welcome to my little intersection of athletic science, traditional martial arts, and Eastern investing. So I'm doing this video after a pretty long hiatus because I got a question a little while ago about Wing Chun Punch and boxing and where I'm going for the next level. I'm doing boxing these days just as a function of where I'm at with like the gym nearby. But I'm probably shifting over going into 2025 to something a little bit more lower body focused. But these are some videos to show where I was at and how I was continuing to work my Wing Chun power development with boxing. Obviously, when you got pads on, when you got gloves on that are 16 ounces, it's a very different situation from Wing Chun, where even when you're doing counter punching, like you have no weight on your hands. You've got complete manipulability, and it's like a straight bone connection when you're hitting something. So the pads makes it a very different sort of power transmission. The sound here, I just took all the background music out because of copyright and such, but hopefully you can hear, I did a round in Orthodox and a round in Southpaw, and tried to just keep the power and intensity up through the whole session. And that elastic band on the arms was in order to try to train myself to get my hands back to a guard position. Because with Wing Chun, one of the things about Wing Chun is when you throw the punch, you compress at the last moment and then you relax. And that when you have the 16 ounces on your hands, it causes your guard to drop. And I was getting clipped a bunch with stray right hooks and haymakers for not getting back up to a guard very quickly. So that was one of my issues that I needed to work. I was preparing for a fight, but it ended up getting canceled. So this was one of the last training sessions I had before actually what I thought was going to be a fight, but it didn't play out. This was from my sensei Henry. Suggestion, and it was great. It shreds your shoulders to be punching with the elastic like that. And you might notice this is kind of the way that I did my stance. With the lead foot is your trailing hand, and your trailing foot is your lead hand. That's sort of a traditional Wing Chun stance, even if but like hands up more for the boxing guard. And I quite like it in terms of like being very centered and you've got like good control in your stance. I had another question. Like one of I was getting good feedback on my jabs, like the jabs being kind of having solid power to them and stuff. You'll see in some of my sparring sessions that I was I was getting drawn into doing jabs that I got clipped on. But at the same time, my sparring partner was definitely respecting the jabs that I was throwing. So I did have him in a somewhat defensive position for a lot of the rounds that we did. I think the two that I put up was like round 1 and 4, maybe. Getting back, the question about... Okay, so this is the end of the first round, so I'll be switching over to Southpaw for the second round. In terms of how would I want to try to get to the next level with my stuff, and whether like hitting trees, I think it's really when you're trying to have power, especially with my martial arts. I'm not really trying to be a prize fighter. I appreciate boxing as a sport, and actually the Chinese folk that I've been training with, the old hands at martial arts and Wing Chun, they call Wing Chun boxing, which has kind of gotten me to a position where, like when I was first getting into karate, I was doing it much more from a self-defense perspective, not thinking about getting into the ring with somebody or into competition, or the whole point sparring, like making a game out of it, making a sport out of it. And that's kind of changed because you don't necessarily get good pressure testing if you're not going into the ring, whatever the ring is, with a skilled and trained opponent. But then at the same time, you have weight classes, so you're always in the same weight class if you're getting into these kinds of boxing matches, which martial arts and Wing Chun, arts like Wing Chun, they do try to prepare you to be able to handle yourself with somebody much bigger than you. And so how do you handle that? Like if you're going to be, if you've got this power transmission, it's a powerful punch, I mean. You want to be having something that's going to transmit. You want to be able to, like, it's kind of a penetrating power is what you want to go for. So like whether that's on a rib or something like that, you want your power to go inside of what you're talking about, of what you're hitting. So you can do that with hitting trees. I mean, they should be trees that do have a certain amount of flex and bounce so that you can really feel the resonance of the thing that you're hitting. That's why a lot of Muay Thai guys like to hit banana trees. You wouldn't do that with anything that's too solid. Although I do like hitting metal poles because you can really get a good kind of penetrating ring on it. You just have to make sure that your hand can sort of absorb and bounce. Like when you're doing with the tendons, you do that like squeeze in the split second before you make contact, and that's where the transmission comes from. But there's also like a recoil and that you sort of have to feel depending on what you're hitting. And so it's like that really penetrating power that it's when you put on gloves like 16-ounce gloves that you're going to go in and spar with people with, you just don't have that anymore. But that doesn't mean you can't still kind of get that penetrating power. And I mean, if you listen to like Bas Rutten, and he did a lot of palm strikes, but he was also really well known for like taking people out with his liver shot. And it's really like the penetrating power that I think really gets the liver shot knock down, take down. So yeah, I mean that's sort of where I'm at. Here's just like a quick little round showing some of the counter punching, parrying, like with the elbow up like that. Which was working for me reasonably well. Obviously, I didn't do it in that one. And I'm not doing the Wing Chun stance very well in the ring when I'm sparring yet. So that's kind of another thing that I have to just get a little bit more comfortable with if I'm going to. Well, I mean, I am going to be continuing to do sparring and stuff going forward. It's just kind of a new sport for me and a new undertaking. I did a bunch of, since my last videos, I was getting into a bit of point karate as well, which is fun, but it's kind of for kids. So, yeah, anyways, that's it for me, and thanks for watching and listening. If people are into it, maybe I could do some more videos like this with ongoing training videos going into 2025. So, yeah, cheers.